Hi, my name is Sonia and I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, and I love being a member of the Be Free Inner Circle because of the camaraderie among the members. It's an amazing place for women to share their dreams and goals and receive nothing but encouragement from other members. I also enjoy the book club and monthly chat where we share and hold each other accountable for our goals. If you're longing for sisterhood, this is the group for you.
Hey, hey, welcome back to another episode of the Girl Be Free podcast. I'm your host, your clarity cultivator, where I'm going to inspire and motivate you to show up for yourself. This week, I have another Chasing Free series interview, which I'm so excited to bring on Shauna Hibbitts. We've been friends for several years. She's a faithful attendee to the Be Free meetups that I have here in Cleveland. And then also, she is a member of the Be Free Inner Circle. So, Shauna, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you on because I feel like so many people are going to be able to benefit from your story of how you started your company and where you're at today and even where you're going. So, if you can go ahead and let us know what business you have and why did you launch your business?
So I have a business called Enannylink, which is an online platform. I created this because I wanted to be in a position to reach more families. And I've always been in the mode of empowering families. I started off as a teacher in a preschool classroom, and I was trying to find ways to connect with the child, right? Connect with the families. And I started with the Storytime YouTube channel, started blogging, and then it developed into a empowering like light source, if you will. So eNanny Link is comprehensive tools on everything childcare for families.
I love it. I love it. And when did you launch your company?
So I launched this October 2016. It was also my first appearance on social media. I'd
Look at
never been
you.
online.
I
So
love it. And what was the inspiration? Like, I know you were in the childcare space, but what was the
Mhm.
inspiration into like, okay, now I'm going to take this online?
I think for me was I noticed the shift with children, especially. We already had families were already online. Facebook's been around for a while, and all of that. But I noticed the shift where children, YouTube was becoming our children's TV. They were growing up with it. And I realized that in order for me to get in front of them, or even if it's just reading stories online, even though they're still on the screen, I can still add an educational component to that child's life. So that's why I was passionate and pushed into that direction to meet the child where they are. It's always something that we've been taught in the early childhood world, and since things are changing, that's where I had to meet them at.
I love that. I love that because my kids have been on YouTube, I feel like, since the beginning. And to be able to capitalize on that space where, okay, this is where children are at, I need to show up there, and this is how I'm going to show up. I think that that is absolutely beautiful. And so, what
Thank you.
inspired you to pursue your dreams and begin creating the life you want when it comes to your childcare service, showing up on social media, and all that?
So this started when I was a child at single digits age. I realized that I had a special quality with children, believe it or not, in the single digit age space. Children were always attracted to me. They always wanted to be around me. They always wanted to hang out with me. And as I became a teen, I started getting involved in babysitting some neighbors' kids. And then I realized that I had a gift. I had a way to communicate with them that was unique and different than others. So I decided to go and pursue my early childhood degree. In the process of all of this, there's a certain lifestyle that I'm going after. There's a certain freedom that I'm going after, if you will. One is financial freedom. Another one is just being able to live the life of my dreams, what I feel that has been imparted in me from birth. And so I realized that when you find your life purpose and if you work your life purpose, it doesn't feel like work, right? You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. So when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, I feel like the universe or God or you know will give you all of the things that has been imparted and implanted in you for the life that you're going after. So I realized that using my gifts and talents in the arena that I have with children and families will help me be able to have the life that I'm going after, but at the same time fulfill my life purpose.
I love that. And I love how you were able to see your gift at such a young age. Like,
Mhm.
that is not, I don't know if that's normal. And I wish I knew my gifts when I was a teenager, and then and then moving forward with what I know or knew that I was put on earth to do. Like, I think that that's absolutely beautiful that at a very young age, children tended to gravitate towards you. You paid attention to it and then built your life on magnifying your gift or mastering your gift. So now you're in a space of creating the life you want through something that comes so natural to you. That is definitely freedom. Yeah,
Thank you.
I love that. So tell
Thank
me,
you.
how does your purpose line up with your business based on the work that you're doing?
So for me, it's a natural progression. Once I discovered what my life purpose was, I wanted to develop some type of business system or structure in a way where I can make money to sustain the lifestyle that I'm going after. So for me, it was doing a lot of soul searching and actually going against what's normal, because usually when you have an early childhood degree, you live and retire in a classroom. What I did was I created a classroom on wheels, is what I call it. A lot of people say, "Are you a teacher?" from the way that I speak to children or about in public. And I say, yes. And they'll say, "Where do you work?" And I say, My classroom's on wheels, because I work with the world.
Mm.
So that's why the Enannylink provided a way for me to be able to reach people all over the world and develop and have a relationship with them and be able to support them with empowering products and services along the way.
I love that. I love that because it's basically you turned your purpose into a way of making money. And that doesn't, and I want to kind of set the tone for this because sometimes people think your purpose has to make you money. And it's like, I just got to figure out what my purpose is. And it's like, no, your purpose can be serving others. And that doesn't necessarily have to mean that you have to make money from it. I do think it's nice to make money from the things that you're passionate about, but everyone get to create that on their own. And so from a very young age, you knowing your gifts, knowing that you were very passionate about teaching, and then doing it your own way. Because I also think that we get boxed in like, okay, you have this teacher's degree, you need to be in the classroom, you retire, and that is it. And it's like, no, let me find a way to do it on my own terms, which is what this whole series is about, chasing free, figuring out how do you want to show up in the world. So I love that you discovered that, and now you have put everything in place so you're able to live out the vision that you have for yourself. I think that's so beautiful.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. And so tell me, what do you enjoy most about living on your terms?
Setting my own times and choosing the people that I want to work with.
Yeah.
That is so huge for me. When I hear people, and I've been fortunate to start this journey early. My home childcare business, I think I was 25. My husband was a huge supporter of everything I've done. He was able to provide a lifestyle for me, just being his girlfriend at the time, and I trusted him. And he was in real estate, and so he rented an apartment out for me. I had my own apartment. He had one in the building. He had like four suiters, and he wanted me to start my home childcare business in that apartment. And he provided things in a way where I could go out, get my clients, um, and not have to worry about my bills and that kind of stuff. So that support, sometimes you have to have somebody, even if it's just one person, that will help you be able to leverage off of your skills and talents, right? Because you still have to pay the bills and stuff while you're trying to figure it out at the same
Mhm.
time. And I had a little guy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. And you definitely don't want to be in a position where you are stressed out, right? To make ends
Mhm.
meet while you're doing this thing that you love. That is definitely not a good feeling. And I love that you have the support. And I agree, like that support is so necessary. I was speaking to my coach yesterday and we were talking about like the key people that you need to have in your life. And, having your coach, having your mentor, having your cheerleader, having your friend, having your peer, like all these different people that can serve a different space in your life so that you're not doing life alone. And I love that your husband, from the very beginning, like made it easy for you, right? And whether
Yes.
someone has a partner or not, just having somebody in your corner that's going to support your vision, and not necessarily, it doesn't have to be a financial support, but even just encouraging words can go a long way to say,
Yes.
you know what, I believe in
Yes.
you. And you're like, oh, you believe in me? Well, let me go out here and do this thing.
Exactly.
All right,
Hmm.
so describe an aha moment. And that could be maybe a great success that you've had thus far in the company, maybe just a shifting of your thoughts, like something that kind of was like, okay.
My aha moments happen all throughout life. And what I mean by that is I went through so many different experiences that it took me to spaces and places in which I would say I had to pivot because it didn't feel good. I consider those moments my aha moments. Every time I had to stop, soul search myself. Does this feel right? Is this the way I'm supposed to go? Is this my journey? To me, those were aha moments. So that's the way I kind of describe my aha moments all the way up to now. I'm still doing it.
I love that because it's like these light bulb moments. Like, okay, this is how I am shifting and pivoting in this moment. And doing the self discovery work is so important. And I feel like that is what the podcast is all about. I mean, there's so many things I can say about it, but really doing that personal growth and self discovery work is like so essential no matter what space you're in life. So I love that.
Exactly. So
What has been your biggest challenge as a business owner?
the fear of success. It's scary to put your thoughts and ideas out there and let other people see your work. It's easier to create something, craft your life, put it in a notebook, put the notebook away, but to actually put it out there and to have people's opinions on it, that's that's really tricky. And I think as much as I know that I'm a successful person and I know that I'm successful in different facets of my life, but I still have those doubts, right? I have those moments where I'm like, wait, can you really do this?
Mhm.
Are you sure you can do this? And even though I got it outside of me, I wrote the goal, or I put it on paper or whatever, and I'm processing it and I'm working it through the business and I see it working. I still have those moments where I'm like, wait a minute, maybe I should change this. And every time I think about I'm not doing something well in the business or I need to change something, someone always comes through with a word and gives me the inspiration to let me know that I'm on the right path. So sometimes the fear of success gets in my way. And I've been doing a lot of journaling around that. So I know that comes from a lot of childhood experiences and the way, um, some of the family's ideas were surrounding around money and things of that
Yes.
nature. And so um, I definitely have a total different mindset from my family. And I did learn a lot with my husband. His nickname was Mr. Finance. So he worked really hard with me on the to to try to stay above this, and he would always tell me, these things will creep back, but you have to figure out how to get rid of it. You have to reprogram yourself. That's where I struggle with sometimes. I develop a product or something like that, and I'm all excited to get ready to sell it. And then when I'm asked how much it costs, I I struggle with the price. I'm like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, what? Wait a minute! You came up with this brilliant idea. These people need this, and you mean to tell me you don't want to put a price on it? So that's where I get a little bit, where I can tell that I go in and out sometimes. But what I do love about myself is some kind of way I overcome it and I just keep it moving. And even if I feel in doubt on my shoulder, fear over here, I just keep my feet going. And
Mhm.
some kind of way that all comes off and I end up getting into different platforms and spaces.
I love that. And you're definitely not alone on the whole fear of success. I had Elise on, and she talked about the same thing. Like that was something that she was working through, is the fear of success. And I think that that happens whether you're an entrepreneur or you're just working in corporate or whatever you're doing. There's that fear there, like, can I really be successful? Can I really have what I want? Whether it's the children, the marriage, all of that. Is this really possible for me? And based on whatever your limited beliefs are and how deep they are,
Yeah.
you got to
Yeah.
work through all of that stuff. And I'm right in the middle of it right now. Like, I had this aha moment yesterday, and I was able to kind of process it with my coach. And I was like, that is why I think the way that I think, because it's how I was taught. I was only taught this one thing this way. And so
Yes.
now I have to recondition my thoughts and say, okay,
Mhm.
this was a great foundation, but there's more to life than that, right? But if you haven't been surrounded by people who, let's just say, lived in abundance and had
Yes.
wealth or whatever it is you desire success to be, then the only way you're going to get that, you have to train yourself. You got to read the
You
books, you got
do.
to work with the coaches, you got to
Yes.
take the classes, you got to
Mhm.
do all the things to feed your soul, especially if you didn't get it when you were growing up, you know?
Absolutely. And I think it's vital um, that you do when you can, especially when you have children, because I believe in generational wealth as well. And, you know, our young people are watching us. They're watching what we're doing and, you know, they're learning from us. So that's very important to me.
Yeah, I know I shared this at an event that you and I were at together, but I recently got a check in the mail from a speaking engagement that I had. And I intentionally, because we don't see money, money just moves through account, you pay your bills automatic,
Yes.
all that jazz. We don't, it's very rare that you're actually physically touching money. And then to get a
Mhm.
check, you're like, well, wait, what is a check? So I bring my kids in and I'm like, who is this? What is this first? Do y'all know what this is? Just to make
Right.
sure that they know what a check looks like, because
Mhm.
but they did. And they saw
It's a
who the
different
check,
world.
it's a different world. They saw who
Mhm.
the check was addressed to. And I said, read me the name that you see and read me the amount that you see. And they did. And I said, this is what I got paid to speak at this event. And I said, I'm sharing this with you because, like you just said, Shauna, it's showing them generational wealth, and showing them what you can do and what's possible when you walk in your purpose, when you pursue your dreams, you do the thing that you love,
Yes.
you can get paid for it.
Yes.
And I feel like in that moment, I just felt like I had to show them, but I know what I did is so much bigger than even my mind could really, what I can wrap
Mhm.
my mind around at this time. Because now it's like, okay, now you see what a check looks like. You know what I do every single day, and so now you are
Mhm.
seeing some of the benefits from that. And it's not just like you hearing me say it, but now you are actually seeing it. And then I actually took money out the bank and I let my daughter touch it. I said, what is it? This is $100 bill. I need you
Wonderful.
to see what this looks
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
because again, they don't touch money that often. They probably
Mm-mm.
touch a little bit more than
Everything.
I do, but
Yeah, but everything is, everything is online. I mean, we're cash app society. There's a lot of things that our children are just getting glimpse of. They're not
yes,
seeing the historical sense of how money was created, printed, and things of that nature. So that
yeah,
makes total sense for you to break it down and make sure that they're aware of the history of it and how you can obtain it.
yeah.
I talk a lot about Zone of Genius with children. It came out on the website, I want to say it came out like 2 years ago. It was all over social media about tapping into your zone of genius. And it was on the adult level, but it was just speaking about, reaching down and just finding out what you're really good at.
Mhm.
Try to find out what you're really good at and try to tap in on it. And it may give you an idea of what direction you should be, what journey you should be on. So I took it further and I said, well, why do we need to wait till we're adults? We need to be checking our zone of genius when we're younger. But of course, they need assistance with that. You know what I mean? We have to be able to guide them. We have to be able to point out what they're really good at. And basically, it's just something, it's like a silver lining in the sky. It's something that your child does exceptionally well amongst his peers. And it's the same thing that we can do now as adults if we didn't have that opportunity to process what we were good at. Because 9 times out of 10, what you find out you're so great at as an adult, you were already great at as a child. It was just lost through life. I remember your story and the gentleman that pointed out, you've always been this way. You've always been a light. I think there was a gentleman that
Yes.
you saw
Mhm.
years later and was and said to you, I'm not surprised. This is what you're supposed to be doing, right? And I think it gets lost along the ways. And I think it's important that we take those teachable moments. That's
Yeah.
really important to take teachable moments. And they are so, those little nuggets that we give our children are just everlasting. They last a long time and they can get it from anybody. You can get it from a
Mhm.
counselor. It doesn't have to be from your parents because everybody is not with their parents.
Right,
Every child is not
exactly.
with their parent. So I'm all about that. I'm all about that. So I really like that you did that. And every time you brought that up, I was just like so happy, my inner child, because
Yeah.
I'm always hanging out with my inner child.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
I was just like so thrilled. Like, yes, yes, yes. Those are teachable moments. It's so important. Just like when you talk about their at your Be Free meetups and how they have jobs. And that's so important. When I had my home childcare business, my son, my nieces, everybody had to set up activities for the kids. They were putting the little plugs in the walls and make sure the little,
Oh, yeah.
plastic pieces to make sure
Mhm.
kids didn't put anything in the wall. I had everything all safe. I mean, they were very young. They were single digits, and now they're all venturing out into their own entrepreneurs and tapping into their zone of genius. But it's not
Mhm.
something foreign to them because
Yes.
we brought that to their attention when they were younger. But if you didn't have that experience and you didn't have anyone around, or a goat circle is what I talk about too. Your goat circle you should have around the children, or just people that want to see your child win. And you should have a goat circle around you as an adult. I mean,
Yes.
there should not be anybody in your camp that don't want to see you win or grow. And that is why another reason why Enannylink is so important to me is because that is what I do for families. I may not never been in your living room. I may not never met you in person. But when you come across me and my brand, you're gonna feel like you know me and you're gonna feel like I have something to offer with your to your family, for your family on the empowerment scale.
I
But
love that. I
it's
love
important.
that. Yeah, it's so, so, so important. And I think like tapping into your kids' zone of genius at a very young age, I think that that is brilliant. And we can see it in my daughter because she's an artist. It's obvious. My
Yes.
son, for him, he is so kind-hearted. He will give his last. And what I'm trying, because he feels like, okay, she can draw. Like, what can he do? And I'm like, everyone doesn't have a kind heart like you. And I'm like, it may not seem like whatever to you now, but I'm like, he's so giving, and he's very friendly, and he connects well with people. And I'm like, we're going to work through that. But I see that right now. Like, if he could
That's
see me on a
excellent.
couch without a blanket, and he'll go get a blanket for me, like, just he thinks he
Wow.
cares a lot. And I'm like, that
Hmm.
is so beautiful to me. And I'm like, you make a
That's
really
definitely
great
a
friend.
gift.
It's a gift because everybody is not kind hearted.
Mm-mm.
They are
Not
not.
not his age.
No. And
They
so
don't think
I
about putting a blanket on nobody but themselves.
yes, and so
Our
I
poor
have to
babies.
yes. And so
Mhm.
I have to like nurture that. And I'm going to begin to nurture that
Mhm.
even more so that it's
Yes.
like,
Yes.
it doesn't seem like it's nothing to him because he's not able to draw. Because that was my thing when I was growing up. And I've shared this plenty of times. I didn't have a talent that I knew of. I didn't feel like I was good at anything. And now I know what I'm gifted at is, being a connector, building community, this positive light that, people continuously talk about. I mean, I got this email from this young lady yesterday. When I tell you, Shauna, tears welled up in my eyes. She's 16
Mm.
years old and she listens to the podcast, so she's going to hear this. And,
Aw.
she wrote the most beautiful email. And at the end of it, she said something around, you just glow so bright.
Mm.
Now, again, it just affirms what I've been saying for so long about my light. Like, that is my
Yes.
purpose. And it's not anything that I have to try to do. It's just me showing up. And even the guy that I did run into in New Orleans, his name is Carlton. He owns a company. He owns a couple of companies, and you've probably seen him online. I know one is called
Mhm.
Black Man Smile, and the other one
Mhm.
is called, it's a t-shirt, beautiful in every shade. And I was at
Nice.
Tuskegee 1 year. So he knew me for 1 year, and we just happened to run
Wow.
into each other, a couple of years ago. And he said exactly that. Like, I'm not surprised by the work that you're doing. And he follows me online and all that jazz. And so I'm sharing that to say, like, whatever your purpose is, whatever that, it's already there. I just
Yes.
think sometimes you just have to amplify that and trust that that is
Yes.
it, and not try to make it something else. And it doesn't have to make you money.
Yes.
My light was shining way before I started Be Free Project. Obviously, your light was
That's right.
shining when you were a teenager and when you were a kid, and children were naturally gravitating towards you. You
Mm-hmm.
just showed up and how you were, So
Yes,
yeah,
that is so true. And I'm
yeah,
glad that you are encouraging your son, because we in society has um, they have this thing where it's the same thing when I grew up. My sister could draw and I couldn't. So it was viewed that she had talent and I didn't growing up. And so I may not can draw, but I was able to put together little businesses. I mean, I had the first resale shop before that was even a word at single digits. I used to take our old toys and we used to go in the neighborhood and sell our toys to other children. We used to just do all kinds of stuff like that. And I didn't realize how savvy I was with that. I didn't realize I was doing marketing. I didn't realize I was, stepping outside of my comfort zone, asking somebody for money, right? I didn't realize, all of that. And then it felt so good when I landed on the YouTube platform where they called us creators. I'm like, that's what I am. I'm
yeah,
a creator. I may not can draw, but I can put some stuff together, right? So I'm very happy to know that when I had my home childcare business and you would have came in there, you would have thought you were in a childcare center. That's the way I set it up, and people were like, wow, you're so creative. And that's when I first started realizing, wow, I am, but I didn't realize that till I was an adult because it wasn't amplified, like you said, it
right.
wasn't noted. So what you're doing with your son, and you know that's going to be good. I mean, he may be starting his own. I could see him in his teens like starting a fundraiser, you know what I'm saying, for a cause that he's may want to be involved in. There's so many things that can come from like his passion, and he can create so many different businesses just because he cares, and that's what we need in this world.
And I think he has more characteristics like me, and my daughter has more characteristics like my husband. And so I'm not surprised, I'm not surprised. And I'm glad that I can see this at a young age so that we can nurture that and see, and not to make a business out of it, because we're not just trying to, I mean, if it
Exactly.
happens, fine. But, just so that he feels comfortable in that, because I did not feel comfortable for a very long time. And I felt like I was missing something. I felt like I didn't get the fairy dust that everybody else got. Like it just got passed over me. And that's not true. We all have something that we bring to the
We
world,
do.
and that's why we're here. So, yeah.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
tell me, what keeps you motivated on days when you feel overwhelmed?
What keeps me motivated is my why. Why am I doing this? I always have to go back to my why. You know, why am I going after this lifestyle? Like, how is it going to make me feel? Like I just feel like when I think about that, but sometimes I'll be honest with you, sometimes my why, I still feel like I'm in a little slump, right? So I go to my go-tos are meditation, journaling, reading, um, and sometimes just picking up the phone and calling someone, right? We're always texting and we're connected, but we're not connected.
Mhm.
That's what I say. Um, so sometimes just trying to get word from someone else to help me get back zoned and get back into into my space.
Mhm.
Um, I have to be in a creative mode almost every single day. I have to do something creative, or for some reason, I can't get work going. So, for example, today, like this morning, after meditation and all that jazz, when I go the first work, I always choose a creative project to work on first. So today was I scheduled all my created new posts for 2020 for my inspiration posts, which I release every Wednesdays on Instagram and my Facebook business page. And I started those inspiration posts for myself
Mhm.
first because I needed inspiration because I had been through a traumatic experience. 8 months ago, I lost my husband unexpectedly. And so when I got back to my Enannylink work, I was like, okay, how do I jump back? I need something myself. And what ended up happening was people started liking it, commenting, sharing, and just it made me feel so good. Like it makes me feel good when people interact with it. I'm like, wow. And they're actually things that just I wrote from my heart. So I went and I did the ones for 2020. And so this morning I have them all scheduled out through May. So that doing something creative helps me jump into maybe stuff that I'm not as motivated to do. Is that if that makes sense?
Yeah, I love that. And I never thought about doing something creative first before I start working. And yes, my work is creative, but once I'm done meditating, I get the kids together, it's like, okay, what needs to get done. And I'm just like this energizer
Yes.
bunny like all day long. But I love to tap into the creative part. I do have moments where if I have something pressing that I just feel like I have to release in my journal, I'll do that.
Yeah,
But I'm going
I
to
understand.
try that, like maybe even pulling out my coloring book and coloring for 20
Hmm.
minutes before I get started, or, have the coloring book with my coffee because, I love my coffee.
There you go.
Um, but yeah,
There
I
you go.
really love that you start your day off with something creative, and it ties back
Yeah.
into what you were saying as a young girl.
My inner
It's,
child. It's
yes.
my inner child. I work with children. And that's the beauty that I loved with working hands on with children is that you're in creative mode 24/7. Their function, the way they function, their being, the way they take in life, the way they breathe, the way they walk is all with creative juices.
Mhm.
And at some point, we stop and we start oh, we're adults, we got to go to work, we got to this and that. And you do have to do all of those things, right? You have to do
Right.
all those things, but there are ways to make it fun, there are ways to make it creative and not so mundane, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So I found at my inner child and I understands that we need to have some creative stuff going on before we jump into everything else because it helps us be more successful in those other things. And the other things doesn't seem so mundane after.
Yes. Now
Mhm.
tell me, what's some other creative things that you do outside of work related stuff? Because this can actually help other people explore some things that they could do to kind of, yeah. So let me know, what are some other things creative things that you do?
So I like this. I like to go karaoke. A lot of people they're always surprised when they hear that. They're like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do." And I like to go with a group of people or with my family. And then the other part, I'm not sure if this is creative, but to me it is. I find ways with traveling that's creative for me. I don't know if I can put that into words. It's not about packing your bag and going. It's a little bit deeper than that. I may need to journal a little bit more to get the words on what it
Mm-hmm.
does for me, creativity.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what else do I do? So I do love to salsa dance. So I am biracial, which so I tend to forget to say that sometimes because sometimes at the end of the day, I'm on this level now where I mean I love cultural diversity. Don't get me wrong. I grew up with it. My entire family's like a rainbow. Like nobody looks the same. Complexion, hair, nothing. And I love that about our family. Um, but I'm like on this level where I'm in such this human connection space that I just like thinking of everyone more on a human basis sometimes, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I do speak Spanish. I learned both languages at the same time when I was a child. And so I love to salsa dance. I love the salsa, I love the merengue, I love the bachata. And it's so funny because I love watching like line dancing and I love American dancing, but it doesn't give me the same creative feel, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
as salsa does. It does something, it takes me away somewhere. I don't know, maybe to the islands.
Right. And getting out of Cleveland, as cold as it is. I love it. I love
Telling
it.
you.
Yes. Okay, that's
Mhm.
beautiful. I love that. All right. So,
Yeah.
what are you most proud of?
I'm most proud of my mindset. And the reason why I chose that was just having the ability to continue living out the life um, of my dreams. And it sounds easy, but it's not. You know, it sounds easy to put together goals or mantras, right? We're getting ready to go into the new year. And it sounds easy to say you're going to do all the things, this, that, or the other. And then when it's time to take those steps, that's where it's hard. And that's where I realized that it's because it takes a certain mindset to stay steadfast on certain things. And you have to, again, like we said before, you have to retrain yourself. You have to retrain your mind. You have to retrain your thoughts. You got to retrain your schedule. You got to retrain the people around you. You got to retrain everything in order to stay steadfast and focus on goals. And I've always been proud of myself that I've always been able to attain goals. I do have a few out there that I going to make sure that they're accomplished in 2020 because they've been lingering for 1 or 2 years and I don't like that, you know,
Mhm.
especially if it's something that's deeply inside of me that I know that has to come out, right?
Yes.
So yeah, so I'm most proud of my mindset. And again, going back to just, you know, the traumatic experience I've been through this year of losing my soulmate. um, I'm proud of the way I'm grieving. I'm
Mm.
proud of the way I'm handling it. I'm proud that I'm allowing myself the space that I need to process it, to pick it apart. I'm proud that I have a bereavement therapist every 2 weeks that I can talk to. And I'm just proud that I'm taking steps for my mental health in order for me to be able to continue my life purpose and the seeds that were planted and the legacy that my husband and I started. I have to make sure that my mental health is together. So that's why my mindset is the most thing that I'm proud of right now in this stage where I am in my life.
And I love that. I love it. I love it. And especially with the traumatic experience that you've had, still moving forward, at the rate that you're doing it in a way that feels good to you, where it's not like it's forced. It's like, okay, this happened. It is hard as hell, but I'm still going to move forward
Yes.
anyway. I'm still going to take the vision that I was given at a very young age and still move forward with it, even though I'm grieving. And I think that that's really important. And I know everyone grieves in different ways. And I have an episode that I'm going to record when it comes to grief. But I have to say, and I've said this to you several times, I'm really proud of you. And I
You.
admire what you're doing. Um, because I know it's hard. I know it's hard,
Yes.
but you have done a great job with having your support system, whether it's your friends, your family, even the
Yes.
Be Free Inner Circle. Like, you have these communities that you've cultivated around yourself. So
Yes.
that way, when it is hard, you have people that's going to lift you up.
Yes, yes. You
Yeah.
have somebody or some or an of spaces to lean on. And he is my biggest supporter. And we were, I mean, entwined soulfully with each other. So that fuels me as well because I met him in a grieving stage, but I didn't know what that looked like. He had just buried his mom a year before I met him. So to watch him succeed the way he did in the short time that he was on this earth was a thing of beauty and incredible. I almost feel like now he was modeling the behavior and the attitudes of how to fall back in love with life, right? Right before my eyes, and was my teacher in that. And he mastered it. He mastered it. And so I'm like, if he can lose his mom at the age of 22, bury his mom, and still find a way to be successful and live the life of his dreams, because he lived an excellent life in his 48 years and he had so many assignments on this earth and he completed them all. I'm like, I know I can do this.
Yes. Yes.
I know I can do this.
I love that. And so we talked about your support system. How do you support other women?
So I support other women, mostly I would say women with children. And you know why? Because I have a special place for children. Um, you know, whether they had spouses or significant others doesn't matter. I always want to see moms win. And I I have to say I am a huge advocate on finding out who you are as a person while you're mom. Um, I love the moms that give everything of themselves and raise their children up, because I feel like we are all here for certain, there are people that are just designed to do that, to give their all, everything from the top of their head to the bottom of their feet to their kids to get them off. That's their journey. That's what they're supposed to be doing. But I also feel like there's nothing wrong with wanting more than just being mom, right? There's nothing wrong with going after that dream or that goal or that aspiration at the same time that you're parenting. And so I did it. And I'm very happy that I did that. So, what I try to do is when I find moms that are trying to find a way in which they can, it's really like enriching your parenting journey, honestly, because you're able to be yourself. You're able to fulfill what your needs are and what you want as a person, aside from just being mom, wifey, or you see what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then the other types of women that I love women of diversity. Big on women entrepreneurs. I am, because I'm one. I want everybody to win. Anybody that's in that world, like, I want you to win. I want us all to, like, bridge together, come up together, you know what I'm saying? And just help each other's businesses out. And I'm a sucker for that. I ain't gonna lie.
Me
I
too.
am. I love to see that. So yeah, I have my little pockets and my reasons, but in
Mm-hmm.
general, just women is just all around one of the most powerful uh, human creature that I feel that's on this earth. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And I feel like we have so much to offer in this world, and it's a beautiful thing.
So, what does being free mean to you?
Being free to me is having the freedom and flexibility to live the life on my own terms. So, for example, one of my reasons why I do what I do is I want to be in a position where I can live by coastal. I want to be able to have a couple of homes around the United States or maybe out of the country. I want to be in the position to support causes, to run my business, to spend time with family, to write books, and to showcase the best version of myself. Some of this stuff does take, money, because money in my eyes is just a tool to get you to the levels and the spaces and places that you want to get to. Some of this stuff is free. Being the best version of yourself requires free work. You can't pay anybody to do the work for you. You can go see a counselor, you can go see a therapist, but if you're not going to do what it takes to
Yes.
get it together on the inside, you'll always be in the same space. So, being free represents all of that, the mind, body, and soul journey, and making sure that you are, the best version of yourself. And this, you reminded me of your podcast you had that said how to develop a mantra.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I've never done that before, and I'm into all these feelings now. So I'm not coming up with your regular, like, things that you come up with every year. So for this is gonna sound crazy, but there's a Netflix show that I really, really loved. I don't get to watch TV or Netflix or anything a lot because I'm busy working on the brand. But when I do unplug, I see what's on, and I just finished about a month ago the Ti special, the Rhythm and Flow.
Oh, I
Um,
started that. I'm on like
yeah,
episode one, the first 10 minutes.
it's
I got to get through it.
excellent.
Okay, I got to rewatch it.
It will help to me. What I took from it was it gave me a lot of entrepreneur ideas,
Hmm.
creative ideas. The way they critiqued everybody, it made me think about my business and my brand. But it's really good. And I love music too, so hip hop and all that jazz.
Hmm.
So, anywho, I was watching that. I was thinking about my mantra, and you and I went to an event last weekend, which was
Hmm.
very special, very nice, deep, soul connected space, which is I live in the soul connected space
Me
every
too.
day.
Mm-hmm.
So to be able to come together with a group of women that are on that aura or on that page was just empowering to me, right? And so I left there, I heard the podcast, and then I realized, oh, I know what my mantra is. It's rhythm and flow. I want my
Yes.
mind, body, and soul to be in rhythm and flow for
Yes.
2020.
I love it. I love it. I love
It
it.
all came together with all these different
Yes.
facets, and that's another way of how how my mind is in that creative mode where I took a show, inspirations from different pieces and parts of the world, and make it real for myself, and then it fuels me to the next level in life.
Oh, I love, love, love that. And it works. It works for everything that
Yeah.
you shared today. It's like right in alignment. So that makes perfect sense. Now I'm gonna ask you a few more questions, and this one may be hard depending. But what book would you highly recommend the Girl Be Free listeners to read? And that could be fiction, nonfiction, old, something new. But what book would you highly recommend we read?
Okay, so a book that I just finished reading, and I'm not sure if you read this, Siobhan, but it's called The 4 Hour Work Week.
Oh, I'm familiar, but I haven't read it yet.
It's by Timothy Ferris.
Hmm.
It just talks about, and you don't need to be an entrepreneur to read this book. It really speaks to how to get more done in a short amount of time, so that you can live the other half of the time
Hmm. Hmm.
for yourself.
Hmm. Hmm.
But it does have some it has some terminology in there that may be, a little spacey. I call it, like, what it gets into, sometimes it gets into numbers and percentages and stuff
Hmm.
like that. But the story part is the part that I like,
Okay.
because the fact that he was able to figure out how to crank out 4 hours, you know, to get everything done, because it speaks to how much idle time we do, how much time we waste,
Yes.
and how much time the human mind can really focus. That's what it really boils down to. And so he just realized, if we just took a smaller amount of time and gave it our focus, we would get more done than trying to get done in all these, hours of the week. So,
And there's definitely some truth to that. I realized this on Monday because I'm off of social media for a period of time, and I was working on this project that I needed to do forever. But I said, Siobhan, you're going to sit here and you're going to finish it. And from the time that I was working, I stayed on top of it. And there were moments when I got discouraged. I'm like, how the heck? Because I created this workflow. And the old me, or if I was on social media, I would have used a distraction of getting on Instagram, checking to see what's happening. But because I didn't have that, I'm like, okay, you're going to finish this. And when I tell you, Shauna, at the end, I finished it. I was so happy. I Marco Poloed a few friends. I called some people,
oh,
like, guess what I did? I just sat down and I did my work for the
wow.
day. And I was so happy. So I believe that there's truth in that. There is a lot of idle time. And it's so easy for us to get distracted with so many other things. But when you really are laser focused about whatever project that you're working on or whatever that thing is, right? When you give it your all, you can
Yes,
really get it done. And we have to, I feel like, eliminate these distractions so that we can focus. So yeah, I'm
exactly.
glad that you
So
chose that book, and I'll make sure that I link to it in the show notes. I haven't read it, but I understand the concept because
I
I've
think
heard
you
so
would
much
like
about
it.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you would like it. And I will say that I think the more of the entrepreneurial type of person would enjoy it better. Um, you know,
Gotcha. Makes sense.
yeah.
All
So
right.
yeah.
Share a fun fact about yourself.
So I think this is a fun fact. I was an exchange student to Japan when I was 16, and I lived in Tokyo for 4 months. And I still connected with the family. And I've been back 4 times, and my husband had opportunity to meet my host family twice. And we still write each other, and we're old fashioned. We don't do emailing, we don't do social media. We still do the stamp and letter. And I just mailed her out a packet for the holidays yesterday for my Japanese sister and her husband and children, because we were 16 years old at the time, and now we're fully grown. And So I think that's a fun fact about myself. I do speak a little bit of Japanese, and yeah, it was the most amazing experience for me, and it has affected me my whole life when it comes to connection and cultural diversity.
I love that. That is, I mean, I know you shared before that you were an exchange student, but I didn't know to this length. So I think that that is so cool. And that you write letters like pen pals. That is so cute.
Yes,
I love it. I love
thank
it.
you,
So
thank
share with the
you.
Girl Be Free listeners what exciting news or things that you have planned coming up in the new year, in the new decade.
New Year! Oh my goodness! I told myself if I add another project, I'm not though.
Okay, okay.
So I have a couple things out. So my two children's books will be coming out in the spring 2020. I've added a new project, which is my love story with my husband. So I am going to create a story on our love and our journey. And and what else I have? I have a nanny agency opening up June 1st, 2020.
Yes.
Yep. And then I think I'm having an online parenting group I'm putting
Yes.
together. So that's coming out soon, like a cyberspace for parents. And yeah, that's a lot.
It's a
So
lot, but it's good. It's so, so good. And I'm excited about all the great things that you have in store. And I'll make sure that I link to your website, your social media platforms, and the show notes so that people can connect with you. And I think specifically when it comes to the parenting, having an online space for parents to connect and discuss all things children and family, I think that that's going to be
yeah,
phenomenal. And so please, if
thank
you're
you.
listening, make sure you connect with Shauna online. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for being on the show today. Thank you for sharing your story. I totally appreciate it. I know that there's going to be so many key takeaways that people will be able to learn from you. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
You're welcome. And until next time, girl, be free. Hey, BFFs, I want to personally invite you to BeFreeInnerCircle.com, your community for real sisterhood where women are showing up and doing the work. Whether you're still trying to figure out what you want to be when you grow up, or you need accountability to keep pushing forward to reach your goals, the Be Free Inner Circle is the community for you. You can expect curated content that will support you on becoming the best version of yourself, live office hours and Q&A sessions where we chat about things like overcoming self-doubt, building your confidence, practicing self-care without guilt, and so much more. Virtual live events from book clubs and workshops with guest speakers, and a supportive and active community of women that will encourage you, hold you accountable, cheer you on, and give you honest feedback and advice. It's the perfect place to be for women who are ready to show up, flourish, and be free. Join today at BeFreeInnerCircle.com.